I've spoken before about mediocrity and how we should never celebrate it or buy into it, because when mediocrity is successful, everyone suffers in the end. But when something mediocre becomes absolutely famous, a household name, makes millions of dollars, and somehow never stops being popular, then it's time for us to regret the past. Last time I talked about Nickelback, I spoke about how their album Silver Side Up wasn't the worst album of theirs by far, but that it should not have sold so well based on what was included, and that it was made out of a research formula to trick people into buying their music because it already sounds like what people want to hear. You see, Nickelback really benefits from the advertising and marketing scheme, where you have a product that really isn't that important, cheaply made, nothing special to it, but if you sell it well enough, you spread it around to enough people that everyone knows about it, then everyone's gonna think it's good no matter what, so they have to buy it. And then, after the Canadian darlings became worldwide hits, they brought out the big guns, pulling in people from other bands to contribute and promoting single after single for their new album. All the Right Reasons released 7 radio singles. 7! There are bands who have a full discography of amazing songs that hardly get any radio play in their career, but these guys get at least one song played an hour on every rock and pop station in the world? And if that isn't bad enough, this album sold over 8 million copies in the United States alone, combined with several million more throughout the world. To put this in perspective, this Nickelback album sold more copies than the entire Alice in Chains discography, which include both the original and reformed group. Excuse me for a moment. All the Right Reasons, filled with several #1 hits on many different charts, is one of the most regretted and shameful albums of that decade, and is owned by millions of music lovers. It's that dirty secret that people keep in a box of belongings and hope that no one ever finds. But even though it was panned by critics at the time, and Nickelback at the time was still known for being the punchline of rock jokes, it was still a massive success. On the bright side, this album's actually pretty short. It's only 42 minutes in length. So, it's time once again to go track by track, listen to this album in entirety, and see why an album is worth regretting. I really hope you people are starting to appreciate what I'm doing. I'm doing this so that way no one else has to listen to this album in full ever again. What? What the heck am I listening to? The drum intro is actually really good, which is by the at the time nude member Daniel Adair of 3 Doors Down. The guitar riffs are strong and possibly a little too loud and cover the vocals, which is normally a good thing in this case, but really read some of these lyrics. It sounds like some sick stalker anthem, or the memoir of a guy who has ex-girlfriends locked up in a tool shed. It's horrifying. Musically, it sounds generic outside of the solos, but wow, these lyrics I can't get past. I mean, that's the stuff you hear a villain in a PG-13 horror film say to a bunch of high school girls that were mean to him. If you're wondering why the guitar solos in this track sound so good, it's because they are performed by Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top. Yep, ZZ Top contributing to a Nickelback song. Kinda like Paul McCartney contributing to a Simple Plan track. Beyond the first minute, this track gets old fast, which is odd because it's not even 4.5 minutes long. It's great to hear a legend contribute to a song for an, at the time, younger band, but when the music itself is as generic as everything else they've done, then it's all for naught. Especially when the lyrics read like an instant message feed from a psycho to some girl he randomly met at a Denny's. Let's just move on and hope we don't ever have to deal with this creepy factor again on this album. You got off every time you got on to me, and I got caught up in favorable slavery. What am I listening to? This album is turning into the soundtrack of a Danielle Steele novel. Read some of these lyrics and imagine some 45-year-old mom reading them while soaking in the bathtub. That's the only way I could see someone liking this. Is this what their messed up love lives are like? Music-wise, it's once again just repeated guitar riffs for minutes on end with only a bit of vocal elevation to distinguish the chorus. And then it's back to the same old stuff. Chad just groans and poses, and it's a basic studio-tracked performance with no passion. Around the 2.5-minute mark, there was a short change-up, and it sounds like something intense might come out, but then it drops off back into the same place as before with a generic chorus that's already been played 3 times. They are making their own anticlimax in their song when the track still had over a minute left. Even the most boring and generic bands know how to build into a high point into a song. Did Nickelback really think this was something people would enjoy? Not to mention the lyrics feel like a continuation of that creepy Denny's killer from before. I feel kinda dirty listening to this. Let's speed it up. Can I help you?
I believed you skipped over something, sir.
I don't need to cover that stupid
You
song.
said you were gonna review
Everyone's heard
Nickelback
it.
track
It's
by track.
awful.
If
No
I
one
had to
needs
sit
hear
through
it
all
again.
of Food
No one
Fight,
wants
you
to
gotta
hear it
sit
now.
through this shit.
No
It's
one
not
wants
like,
to listen
you
to it.
can watch
No
that
one
in just a minute
here
or 2 minutes.
cares.
Or maybe I just get to
It's the
skip an
whole
hour and a
reason
half
why
or the
people
entire
wanna
movie.
go to
No,
war
I
with
had to
Canada.
sit through the
It's
whole
bad enough I
entire
get death threats
thing.
for
We
making
brought
fun
you
of a
on
Limp
to
Bizkit
Tail Off so
album,
that you can
but
review
now I'm
the
gonna have to
equivalent
play
of a cat
Photograph on
dying,
my
and
series?
that is
I
what
don't
you
think
are
it's gonna
going
help.
to review. Track
Fine,
by track.
fine. Photograph.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's head?
Photograph is the quintessential bad song. It has been the butt of every joke in the rock scene for years now. Memes, parodies, every form of mocking for the song has been done at one point, and it deserves it. The guitar work is something you'd hear from a first-month guitar lesson. Everything musically is generic and bland, and you can tell the melody came from another one of Krager's music formulas. But the worst part is this awful storytelling lyric format. And that might be the main reason why people laugh at and dislike Nickelback. They try to write stories in their music, and they are extremely bad storytellers. Just read along to the lyrics of this song and you can tell how awful they read. No one talks like this when talking to someone else, and nothing feels natural. If a kid turned this in as a short story to their junior high teacher, the kid would have to stay after class just to be shown all the problems with it. Is this the worst song I've ever heard in my life? No, not really. Is this one of them, though? Yeah, I really think it is. Photograph came out at a time when rock was in the doldrums. Bands like Simple Plan and Fall Out Boy were the bigger selling names. So when you think you hear something a little harder, you'd get excited as a rock fan and want to support it. So when Photograph came out, you could realize just how transparent and mediocre everything is from these guys. They can't write a story, they can't create a memorable or original rhythm, but people still buy it because free radio will play it non-stop. And if that's your only outlet for new rock, and that's the only song pop stations and even rock stations will play, then you aren't given much of an option. At a time when rock was on the back burner, this was the band that was still making cash. This album was a standout for making so much money, in fact. This song, as awful and hilariously bad as it is, reached #1 on many charts in countries around the world. The most played rock song at the time was an embarrassment. This song did irreparable damage to the genre that only a decade later can we now recover from and laugh at the situation. There. You happy? You satisfied now?
Oh, I'm always satisfied when I see another critic in agony.
Yours beside me on the seat, got your hand between my knees, and you control how fast we go by, just how hard you wanna squeeze.
Oh my gosh, did a 13-year-old write this? Okay, so for the ongoing Denny's stalker, he tricked a girl to get into his car with him, and now in his mind the girl is all over him. I know that sounds ridiculous, but there has to be more to these lyrics than such poorly written tripe. I mean, there's no way they thought people would dig this. You can tell that the singer has picked up a bit with the delivery in the song and proved he can quickly dish out lines while singing, but he might as well be reading Reddit romantic fanfiction if that's the route he's going. The riffs are identical to other songs, and outside of the picked up pace, Animals doesn't offer much outside of that cool song to listen to with your friends in junior high because it uses innuendo. The name of this album was All the Right Reasons. Is that what they were telling themselves when they were writing this garbage? That this was all right in their eyes and this is what they wanted to stand behind?
Show me what it's like, the last one standing, and teach me wrong from right, and I'll show you what I can
Does any of this sound familiar? Well, it should.
This is how you remind me of what I really am. Someday, somehow, gonna make it alright, but not right now.
While lyrically this song has more substance, this goes beyond lazy for the music. Now, instead of Nickelback copying other musicians' music and style to get noticed, they're just recycling their own music and claiming it as something new. There really isn't much more to say about that. Nickelback are a lot like the Scooby-Doo cartoons. They are very predictable and end up at the same story and conclusion every time. Except where Scooby-Doo was charming and memorable, Nickelback sing about a perverted stalker every now and then and claim it as a love story. Far Away actually works on some levels. If you are a country fan along with rock, then I can definitely see you liking this song. The lyrics are actually meaningful and it sounds natural and not perverted. For the first time on this album, I can at least understand if someone likes this song, even if it's not for me. But the problem is that there is nothing unique or creative. Make no mistake, this song could have been done by anyone in any genre. So why should you listen to Nickelback if something like this could be done by anyone? Let me explain it another way. Sometimes when you go out to eat, you may not get everything you expect in the dining experience. Maybe the food was good, but the service was terrible. Or the service was good, but the place was packed and incredibly noisy. Sometimes you can't always get the best of everything. But if the service is awful, it takes an hour to get a seat, the dishes are dirty, and the food you receive you could get anywhere, then what's the point of going out? That is like Nickelback. It is many unfortunate and mediocre qualities stacked on top of each other. I'd say your money can be better spent, but there has already been so much money spent and cash made and albums sold that it's too late for millions. So much money in sales, in fact, that this album, All the Right Reasons, sold more copies than 3 times the discography of A Perfect Circle! Excuse me for a moment! Pardon me.
They think they'll get inside her with every drink they buy her as they all try coming on her. This time somebody's getting hurt. Here comes the next contestant.
This is where Kroger's voice starts to really get grating. I don't know if it's a layering effect or light auto-tune or his voice really is just starting to dull my senses, but somehow he has become completely monotone, and it sounds like he was just singing into his phone while walking to Starbucks and said, good enough, I'll send this in. What's worse than that? The creepy lyrics and the continuation of the Denny's killer. Look at these. So now the psycho thinks some random girl is his girlfriend and he's starting to attack random guys around her. That's awful! You may be wondering why I'm making this interpretation of all these bad lyrics. Well, what else am I supposed to do? They painted a pretty clear picture out of all this. You see, some people might think this song is a little heavier for Nickelback. Keep in mind, though, it's heavy for Nickelback, whose range is from one ripped-off melody to another. The guitar riffs are generally the same, the drums and bass don't contribute much, and Kroger's vocals seem angrier. Yeah, I'm real sure he was all angry and upset counting his money in the studio while half-heartedly recording all this. Calling this song bland is an insult to saltine crackers and instant oatmeal. There's really nothing to talk about, but it does add to the creepy Denny's stalker story, and now this guy has a gun. Just think about that while you're trying to sleep tonight. Listen, I'm all for an inspirational song with a message, but this song is written horribly. If everyone cared, then no one would ever die, so existence would be put on a pause forever so long as we all care, like in those Care Bear cartoons. I know I'm being super analytical on this, but really go through the lyrics of that song and try not to get uncomfortable chills on how badly it's written. It's wasted pop rock that you'd hear at a hippie coffee bar. And that's what All the Right Reasons feels like. Wasted pop rock. No substance. But hey, at least the Denny's stalker isn't all creepy in this one. Let's hope it stays that way. No. Oh.
Last night I heard your key, it hit your lock at 4 a.m.
Alright, all kidding aside, this one isn't as creepy, but it is still a little off-putting when put with the rest. A lot of these songs may have been with the intent of a hopeless romantic, but they come off more as the creep who sits alone at night leafing through pages of old Victoria's Secret catalogs and giving each one a different name and pretending they're all his girlfriends. This track is just as bland as the others. I mean, I understand we hit filler material long ago, but this feels like filler to flesh out filler. It's a weird filler-ception moment that, again, offers nothing. Well, here's the last track, and I have to admit, this one gives me a little chuckle.
So how you gonna do it? I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I'd even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltop houses.
Hearing these words come out of that man's mouth is just really funny to me. This man is a rock star now. That is the world today. I mean, really think about that in the respect of all people that paved the way for rock, from the Beatles to Black Sabbath to Jimi Hendrix to Kiss to Nirvana to Tool, and then to Nickelback. What evolutionary gap did we jump? The main reason this song gives me a chuckle, though, is the music video and all the people they got to sing a Nickelback song, including Gene Simmons, Wayne Gretzky, Playboy models, and Kid Rock. Yep, Kid Rock singing a Nickelback song. See, if Gene Simmons would have said rock was dead after that, then I would have believed him. Outside of the funny face-palming music video for Rockstar, let's talk about why this album is worth regretting. Well, outside of the enormous success in sales around the world, and especially in the United States, we should regret all the right reasons for one big reason. And to explain why, I need to explain the biggest victim of this album. The one group of people who bought it, listened to it a couple times, and never wanted to listen again. These are the people that got burned. They paid money to buy an album because they were told this was what sounded good on radio and TV. In reality, it's nothing new by any means, and as a result, people who own this album listened to it a couple times and then quickly shelved it. Hard-earned money sitting in a closet or basement, which in turn lined the pockets of people who do not care what you think. This band has no issues with making music that offers no invested or inspiration or emotion. It's just business as usual. Make all the arguments you want about, well, it sold well and numbers don't lie, so people must have liked it, but did they really like it? More importantly, are the people who bought it still listening to it, or do they wish they could get those $10 back? From everything I've heard, the men in Nickelback are not monstrous people. They laugh at all the naysaying, take it with a grain of salt. They never claim to be the best band in the world. That's not the issue, though. The issue is that a generation was tricked into buying something that wasn't good because it was played everywhere, and we were made to believe that it was something worth owning. If you like this album, that's fine. More power to you. But there is better out there. I don't think anyone can deny that. And the reason we should regret something like this is because it is the perfect example of a band making an album with the intent to make money. Not for the love of music or the passion in the art, but to find the formula of radio songs, mask it with their own voice and instruments, and sell as much as possible as quickly as they can. I know a lot of people get upset when I make these videos because I'm dissecting small parts of albums people used to like in their youth or their past, or even still do like. But the point of regretting the past is to point out why we should regret albums like this. They do more harm to the genre than good.
Hey buddy, sorry about earlier. I know you're under a lot of stress reviewing another Nickelback album. Trust me, I know what it's like to sit through nightmares that no other man should have to experience.
Hey man, I'm sorry too. I snapped, I rose my voice, I shouldn't have. I just really don't like this album. I know you weren't trying to make me upset or anything.
I understand. Here, since you're under so much stress, why don't I sing a song for you that always helps me whenever I'm...
What?
Look at this photograph! Every time I do it
Oh,
makes
you
me
are
laugh.
Hilarious.
How do I get so rare? And what the hell is on Joey's head?
Don't know the words to this song
What?
because it sucks and I won't sing along. So I probably won't get this right. Plus that dude might be the Antichrist.
Okay, the guy's not an antichrist just because he's Canadian.
Criminal record says I broke in twice. I must have done it half a dozen times.
Are you trying to sing the song badly on purpose? How many of you are there?
Oh, whoa, 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 God, I
vivid memory of looking out the back door.
Wow, even a British accent can't sing this song.
Look at this pimpin' hat. Every time it burns the bird. Bird, 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 bird. Look at this photograph.
Okay, this is starting to get a little creepy.
Look at this photograph! It's a photo of a photograph! And inside of this photograph!
Oh, come on, you're not even trying, jerk.
Photograph! There's a whole bunch of photographs!
How long does this go on for?
Photograph! And there's photos in the photograph! Everybody is a photograph! It's some photograph! Every photograph I take up from this front door is a photograph that isn't of a bedroom floor, cause a photograph! 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 It's another photo of a photograph! There's a whole bunch of photographs! And the photo is a photograph! And there's photos in the photograph!
Thank you for watching and for all the support. This video was made possible from so many quick Patreon pledges wanting another Triforce of Suckage album review. If you would like to help contribute to my Patreon for more of these videos, please check out the YouTube card or link in the description. Please subscribe, it really does help out a lot, guys. Feel free to leave your suggestion for the next Regretting the Past in the comments, and you can also check out my last Regretting the Past and see why Saint Anger is the patron saint of sucking.
Photograph! Hope that does it for you.
God, I hope I didn't break.
And what the hell is on Joey's head? No, real, what's on Joey's head? You should get that looked at. And who the hell's Joey?